Big day for sleepy Trump. Sleep is not his weakness. Sleep is actually his highest form of civic contribution because while everyone's talking about Trump catching flies at the cabinet meeting, if you actually paid close attention, that was the least disturbing part of it all because the clowns running this country were making wild claims about saving hundreds of millions of lives with cocaine explosions, lying about their own department's data, and walking barefoot through airplane bathrooms. And somehow nobody's talking about any of these moments. And they reveal so much more about who's actually running things than Trump's nap ever could.
As of next week, we have begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply and they tell us and allow us to partner with them to root out this fraud and to protect the American taxpayer.
Listen, I'll say it again. Trump falling asleep is the least of my concerns. Honestly, I love it when he's asleep. That's when he's causing the least amount of damage with his mouth or his phone or whatever. Sleep is his most socially responsible activity. And to that end, the less attention we pay to his conscious hours, the better off we all are. So let's get into where shit really went south, starting with Linda McMahon, the woman who has no business being our education secretary. She sat on Connecticut's education board for like 5 minutes, never taught a single day in her life, and allegedly lied about having an education degree during her confirmation because who better to run the Department of Education than somebody who's never taught a day in their life and has zero background in education policy? I'll tell you who, somebody who does have decades of experience running the WWE, a company tied up in almost as many sexual assault lawsuits as the church.
We've really been incredibly hard at work making sure that we can return education to the states. And as I sit and listen to all the emergencies that we are addressing in this country, from the economy to our borders to everything that we're doing, I would say, sir, that if we do not fix education in our country with this hard reset that you are expecting, I think the greatest national emergency we could face is our education. Because if we are not going to educate our children, we're going to continue to fall behind the rest of the world.
Okay, so of course, Linda McMahon is sitting next to RFK Jr. at a Department of Education hearing. She has no background in education, and he has no background in science or health and human services. Neither of them should be anywhere near education, science, or children, if we're being honest. The only reason she's in this position is because she literally threw $100 million at a failed Senate campaign and then just bankrolled into Trump stuff. But I'm going to play a longer version of that clip because I need you to actually really listen closely on this one.
And you told me when you first were elected president and you looked at, I think, right after you took office, the first NAEP scores, which is Nation's Report Card, came out and showed how far down we were in educational proficiency in our country. And not only the NAEP scores, but the international scores as well showed us about third from the bottom. You told me you were not only embarrassed, but you were angry about this and that we had to do something to change this in our country. And we took a hard look at it, and you absolutely said the bureaucracy of education in Washington is keeping its thumb on preventing growth what we should have because it's best handled at the state level. Letting states put their programs in place, and some states are going to do it a lot better than others, but it's not going to happen from Washington, D.C.
Here's the thing. Leaving education to the states is the exact same thing as leaving abortion to the states. And it's designed to do the exact same thing. Create a country where your fundamental rights depend on which side of the state line you were born on. When you say leave it to the states, what you're really saying is that a kid in Massachusetts deserves access to quality science, education, and civil rights protections, but a kid in Mississippi, tough luck, kiddo. That's where their state gets to decide. It's the same logic that says a woman in California gets bodily autonomy and doesn't have to bleed out from a pregnancy complication and die, but a woman in Texas doesn't get that same fate. Both are talking about something that should be a pretty baseline human right, whether that right is access to health care or access to an education that acknowledges that dinosaurs didn't hang out with people. And let's talk about how social class comes into play tier 2, because rich people are always going to be fine because they can just move or write a check to a private school, but working families get screwed. We've also seen how this plays out when left to the states when it comes to civil rights. Civil rights protections go out the window. Remember, states had to actually be forced to desegregate schools. Without federal oversight, there's nothing stopping states like Texas, which is, again, run by Greg Abbott, or Florida and DeSantis, from gutting protections for kids with disabilities, queer students, students of color. Some states would absolutely roll back those protections yesterday. We already know DeSantis is gunning to bring Charlie Kirk USA mandates into every public school in Florida. It's already happening. We've talked about it here. But could you imagine the science denial? Could you imagine you'd have some states teaching about actual biology and others teachers just talking about dinosaurs living with humans 6 years ago? Sex ed could be replaced with Erica Kirk videos saying, just go get pregnant on replay, and we'll forget about climate change altogether. Then think about college admissions. What a nightmare that would become. Because how do you compare a diploma from Mississippi versus New Hampshire when the standards are completely different? Does an A in one state equal a C in another? Poor and rural areas are going to just get twice as screwed, just as they already are getting screwed right now with hospital closures. Even in states with wealthy districts, those wealthy districts would hoard resources while the poorer districts will completely crumble. And we're talking about education for kids. At least federal funding tries to even those out just a little. And speaking of rural areas, let's talk about Kristi dog-killing Noem.
You've saved hundreds of millions of lives with the cocaine you've blown up in the Caribbean.
Blowing up, Thanking Trump for blowing up cocaine? Somebody quick check on Kash Patel. Let him know that there's a lot of stuff being blown up in the Caribbean and he might want to update his jet schedule. But to be serious for a second, I need you to understand how fundamentally stupid this statement is. Hundreds of millions, saving hundreds of millions of lives in a country of 335 million-ish. There aren't even that many people dying from cocaine overdoses globally. Like, we're not even close. Again, the entire population of the United States is around 335 million people. She's claiming that Trump personally saved more lives than exist in multiple countries combined by what exactly? By letting Pete Hegseth, drunk war plans texter, play with bombs in the lives of fishermen in the Caribbean? Some reports say we don't know if these ships were even going to the U.S. These people are sick. And then there's this.
Me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's both, sir. He brought people in there illegally that never should have been in this country, said they were somebody that they're not. They said they were married to somebody who was their brother or somebody else. Fraudulent visa applications, signed up for government programs, took hundreds of billions of dollars from the taxpayers, and we're going to remove them and we're going to get our money back. And we're going to, this next year, make sure that we only put people in leadership positions in this country that love this country and have its back. So thank you for letting us get up every day and have a purpose. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Kristi. Appreciate it.
The best part about this is Coach Walz does not even oversee visas. That's not the governor's remit. But the Department of Homeland Security does, and that's the department she runs. And there's zero evidence for this 50% figure. Her own department's data directly contradicts it. But this is what happens when she's too busy trafficking people to read her own reports. But that's not even the point. Noem is out here making accusations that everyone in Minnesota came here illegally and they're taking advantage of government-funded programs. And this is just so wrong. Like, okay, have you ever been on government-funded programs, anyone? Or have you ever helped somebody with government-funded programs? Because the thing about government-funded programs is they are prohibitively fucking difficult. Most of the time, you have to go on a wild goose chase for a form called like 11D7520X/B, which you cannot access online, that you can only find in department offices, which could be hours from where you live and closed on days ending in an odd number. And then you only find that out if you have enough stamina to stay on the phone and call tirelessly to reach a number that's usually disconnected due to the pure volume of incoming calls, then only to come to find out that you actually can't even upload said form online because you have to fax it in. And then the fax number they listed, that number's wrong. And you can only write on the form with blue ink in your left hand on a full moon. Like, otherwise it's void. And I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. And anyone who's ever had to apply for disability benefits or FAFSA knows about this. And this trafficking ass bitch making sweeping claims that everyone here in Minnesota is here illegally and exploiting government funded programs is absolutely not true. And speaking of unqualified cabinet picks making absurd claims about government programs that they literally don't even understand, let's talk about Sean Duffy.
We've asked Americans to bring their better selves, to bring civility back to travel, to say, listen, let's say please and thank you. And if you have someone's pregnant on your flight and you're as strong as Pete is, well, pick up the bag and help her put it in the overhead bin. Let's be nice to each other, is what we've asked. Maybe not wear pajamas or slippers on the airplane. And I think it's been received fairly well, and I think we can all have a better travel experience when we do that.
I think Sean Duffy should take a look to his right and have a word with RFK Jr. because that's something I can really rally behind. Like, look to your right and say, hey, RFK Jr., we've seen the photos, too many photos, and too many instances of you coming out of the toilet on a public plane with your dogs out. Like, do you eat your meals with those feet too, bud? The same feet that touch the airport bathroom floors? Don't tell the Maha moms, like, he might be onto something, we don't know. But let me be very clear. This is not a savage freedom move. This is disgusting. I don't even let my own dog in my own living room without wiping her paws down after she touches grass. And here he is, RFK Jr., leaving the bathroom, public bathroom on a public plane with his feet out. And the government, Sean Duffy, is trying to push dress codes while one of their own cabinet members is RFK Jr. The rules have always been for other people. And if this video has expanded your perspective or you believe science, which the thing about science is it's real whether you understand it or not, then take a moment to subscribe, share this video with a friend, and let's let everyone know how bananas that cabinet meeting was. Give me your voodoo doll. Give me your voodoo doll. This is called the Little Dictator toy. And Willa has an affiliate code.